The preseason prognostications are starting. It's May. Ryan, we're not going to get too far into the details here, but you saw some stuff where you thought Georgia was a little bit low. And I know we see a lot of idiots on the internet. There's 3 of them on the screen right now. But tell me what you saw. We don't have to name names.
Yeah, someone had Georgia as their preseason number 8 team, and they had them right in front of Illinois at number 9. And to me, there's no world where those teams should be right next to each other. The Illinois part is a different part of the conversation, but Georgia was behind all of the other teams that people are viewing as contenders, and I think he had Clemson at number 3. Ohio State's way up there.
Would you have Clemson at 3, Matt?
Yeah.
And we're going to get back to Ryan. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. But it's one of those things where we've gone back to this conversation a couple of times. This college season feels a little bit more wide open, heading into it at least. When it gets to September, and we'll start figuring out teams that are separating each other from the rest of the field. But in terms of the top, it feels kind of even to me heading into this college football season. And for some reason, it's Georgia. Out of all of these top teams, it's Georgia that keeps getting the brunt of it. They get the brunt of it when you look at the odds, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it is. They're not up there with Oregon and Texas. They're not getting all that hype. Is it because of the way that the season ended last year? I'm starting to not understand, because then you get a few guys that are saying, don't sleep on Georgia. And I just don't understand why 8 is too low for a preseason rank. It's far too low.
I think for a lot of people, you either love this Georgia team or you're seriously doubting them, whether it's the 13 guys that they lost in the draft, best linebacker in college football, Micah Williams, Malachi Starks, several offensive linemen, technically a new quarterback who only started, 1 game, played in the half. So there are some question marks. I get it, but I think people are underestimating the talent that this team has overall and the guys that they brought in who should help immediately. But I do agree with you, Ryan. I think there's like a top 5 of maybe Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, and I would throw Clemson in there and probably Oregon too. So maybe 6 teams that have a real chance, if they get hot and get healthy at the end of the season, could make a real run. Then there's a little bit of a gap, and maybe then comes Alabama and Michigan and LSU, maybe if they get their act together, so on and so on. But I do think it's really up for grabs, and I think the well-coached, healthiest team who's playing their best at the end has the best chance of winning it all. So we'll see how it goes. But I do like this Clemson team. I like Penn State. I think they both have a lot returning quarterbacks. I think Penn State added a lot in the transfer portal. Ohio State's going to be Ohio State. Oregon, I don't think is going anywhere. And, like I think we've all said, this should be Texas's year. If they let Arch Manning for 3 years go off to the NFL without a national championship, and he's supposed to be as good as everyone thinks, that's a giant missed opportunity. So if you're Texas, you're begging for this year to be the year they get it done. So a lot of expectations everywhere, but this Georgia team is still going to be really, really good, Dean.
They are going to be good. I think the cluster at the top is, no one's mentioned Oregon yet, so I will mention them. I would say the cluster of 3 Big Ten schools, which is Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon, and then the duo in the SEC with Texas and Georgia. I think then you do have a drop off. I don't know what the hell you're talking about with Clemson being in your top 3. We will discuss that offline. I think they are in a cluster with Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and LSU, and then I would say there's a kind of a drop after that. It depends on who you want to talk to, if Penn State would be in the upper 4 or in the bottom 4 of that. But I do think the national champion will come from the top, group that we're talking about. My suspicion is it will be Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Oregon, or Penn State. Alabama's winning the national championship. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Notre Dame just doesn't have, that had a great season last year, and they were not close to winning the national championship. Playing in the national championship game and getting your ass beat in is not the same thing as getting close. And Clemson, the quarterback, I'm sorry. Do they have a different quarterback, Matt? Can you help me on that front?
He's a top 5 quarterback returning in the game. I think this is year 4
Are we
for him.
Is this a joke? Right now, are y'all
train
playing
is
jokes
as high
on me?
As high as it's ever been.
A
The hype
good
train's
quarterback.
nice.
There's a lot of question marks out there. Who does Ohio State have coming back?
I
think
don't
Kate
care.
Klubnik could be better than Drew Aller. They are loaded defensively.
They are.
This is his third year starting. I expect him to be even better. He can run. He
Wait,
made
dude,
some
no,
bad
wait, no, I'm
decisions.
not going to let
He can
this go.
play.
No, you and I both watched enough Clemson. Hold on, Ryan. Just give me a second, Ryan. Did you watch them play Pitt? Clemson? Yeah, were we together? Like, what is the guy doing half the time? Wait, you're muting yourself somehow. You're going in and out. Somewhat like his quarterback play. Go ahead.
I think he is very talented. I think he's got plenty of arm talent. The kid can run. He's got to put it together upstairs mentally as far as decision making. But year 4, I expect him to not make some of the throws that we have seen him make. There are some plays where you're like, what is he doing, right? What is he seeing out there? But I expect him to take a step forward. And a lot of it's the schedule. They don't play anyone.
No,
and I do think this is the
true.
best Clemson team that we've seen in several years. Third year starting. The defense is going to help them out. I think Clemson, maybe not top 3, definitely top 6 in my opinion, and maybe around that top 3. But I don't have their schedule in front of me. I don't know who's beating them on their schedule, especially if he takes another step forward. I thought he was better in 24 than he was in 23. I think he's really talented. If he can put it together, I think Clemson should be a really good team this year.
Hey, let me throw it to Ryan, but let me ask you this. I want to ask you about Penn State, Ryan, but I would just say off the top of my head, who can beat them? LSU, South Carolina. What's that? Could. Yeah. I'm not sure I totally believe in LSU in an opener, but Clemson plays at Louisville, they play at South Carolina, they play LSU, they play SMU in Death Valley, but I don't know. Ryan, what about Penn State? What do you not trust there, or what do you think they win it?
I don't trust kind of the way that you're talking about Klubnik is definitely, I feel a little bit that way as well, but it's the way I feel about Drew Aller. And there's a lot of love for Drew Aller, but I didn't really see much in 2024 that told me, okay, this is the best returning quarterback in college football, which
but it's bad out there. Online, what Matt was saying is true.
It's not great. I think that we're going to see some guys elevate this coming season. I think some younger guys are going to step up, and we'll see what Arch is. We'll see. But I'm not as convinced about Drew Aller. And look, they just lost like their 3 or 4 best players. Like literally their 3 or 4 best. They just lost them. They did return a lot. They did add in the transfer portal. I think that they certainly will be contenders, but I just felt like there were a handful of games, that Ohio State game, the end of that Notre Dame game, were just moments like that where I'm just like, this is not – you have to win those types of moments, and they didn't win any of those types of moments. They put up a good fight against Oregon in the Big Ten championship, but they couldn't get it done. They couldn't come back in that. I just don't see how Penn State's better than they were this past season. That roster was really, really good in 2024.
The only thing I would say about it is they play Oregon at home. They play at Ohio State, and there just are not any other games, I think, that are Indiana. Is Indiana going to be good again?
But the same thing with Clemson, right?
Correct.
They're gonna fly through the regular season for the most part. But when you get to playoff, it's going to be a lot different. All these teams are going to be matched up against each other. Penn State, Clemson, those are probably out of that whole group. Probably the first 2 I'm going to say I don't trust.
No, I don't trust them, and I'm not suggesting I necessarily trust Georgia, but I will say this: for Ohio State, they play Texas immediately, so kind of right away the winner of that game will be the number 1 team in the country. So they play Texas, they play Illinois, they play Penn State, and then they play Michigan. So they have sort of 4 legitimate games. Georgia, in terms of legitimate games, that has regressed for them, Matt. They don't have to play Clemson. They're not playing. Does anyone think Ole Miss is going to be better this year than they were last?
I think they should be around the same. I'm not sure they'll be better.
No way, man. I think they take a step back.
I think they take a step back.
They lost
I don't know.
much on defense, and then you got to go through a quarterback change. And as much as I don't think Dart's that great, that's going to be a step down as well.
Where are Matt? I'm loving Matt's current. I don't know if he's like. Where is Georgia's biggest? They'd better watch it moment to you.
State, at Tennessee, or at Auburn, but I don't think Georgia should lose either one of those games. Maybe it's Alabama at home. You get the tide at home, you should be better than Alabama. That's a game I feel like they really need to win. It wouldn't surprise if Texas came in there and won. I think they're better than Ole Miss. They should handle business there. But, my big question is, do they go another season unscathed at home? I think this is probably the toughest year to do it. Wouldn't surprise me if they did get tripped up against Texas or Alabama. But I didn't expect them this time last year to go to Oxford and get beat like that either. So we'll see how it goes. They've got to stay healthy. They've got to be better offensively. And, probably defensively too. They still need to get it together a little bit, be more consistent there. But like you said earlier, I don't any of these teams. Maybe I trust the winner of Ohio State, Texas, but I still think there's some question marks on both of those rosters right now. So like Ryan said, I think it's really up for grabs this year.
Well, I will say this. Last year, I kept warning people. I was like, hey, man, this is an extremely difficult schedule. I think people kind of get in their world where they've figured out what they want to think, and then that's where they're at. I think this is a very manageable schedule, I must say. I mean, I would not be – it would be a great accomplishment. I wouldn't be shocked if they went 12-0 in this thing. I think it would be – that would be a real accomplishment. I think they're just – this league is difficult. I wonder how good Florida and Tech will be. They could be – I mean, if Tech gets better, but – Georgia Tech is so up and down. I mean, the game they played against NC State, the game before they played Georgia, they should have lost that game. They looked horrible. And then they played kind of their best game of their year against the Dogs. I don't think we know what we know. I don't think we know anything yet. Who would you rather be? Who would you pick to win the game, Matt? Would you pick Penn State or Clemson against one another? Who would you pick in that game?
Neutral field?
Yeah.
I'll take the Tigers this year.
Matt or Ryan?
I think I feel the same way.
Okay. How about a neutral between Ohio State and Georgia?
I'd probably lean Ohio State a little bit.
Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, I feel that way as well. And it depends to me, very dependent on how good their quarterback ends up being, which I think will be Julian Sayin. If he's really good, then I definitely lean Ohio State.
Yeah, I something makes me say to myself, you'd pick Ohio State, but you want to see them play, and I think to some degree our not recency bias, but our location bias. We know where all the bodies are buried in Athens, and Ohio State's had a lot of guys leave, but Georgia had 13 guys drafted. So that's a lot as well. A muddy picture for the national championship in 2025. Thanks for watching.